Welcome to Manny's TV Talk, where we will talk about all of our favorite reality TV shows and news surrounding them. Grab a snack, a drink, and get comfortable because this starts now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about the new episode of The Valley, Season 1, Episode 9. Let's get right into this.
Like sexy pictures of yourself.
She is right. I have texted multiple people.
Alright, so we pick up this episode with the whole group finding out that Janet's messy ass is having a trip to Big Bear and everybody's invited except Kristen and Zach. Now, Kristen, I think she kind of understands. She's still upset, but poor Zach got really upset. He actually started to cry because he doesn't know why he wouldn't be invited. Because it's not like he's really done anything to Janet, so that was a mess. Zach tells us that Janet is very much a mean girl. Also, as this conversation is being had and as Zach is talking to Brittany and Jasmine, there's some weirdo named Simon who's like on the side, kind of looking at them and texting or recording, doing something. Jasmine calls him out and he says, "Oh, I'm just letting Jasmine know what's going on." So it's almost as if she had a little spy there trying to figure out all the teas and she wasn't there. Okay, moving on. Jesse arrives home from his one-day retreat. He comes in, he hugs Michelle, he holds on to her, kisses her. It looked like he was very happy with the retreat. He's telling her all about the things that he did, the exercises, the breathing, meditation, energies, all of that stuff. He says that he feels very different. He says he feels completely different, and he even goes as far as to say that his ego died there, which, yeah, I doubt that. He says, "I was blind, but now I see." Oh Lord, not Amazing Grace. Michelle looked a little unimpressed. She kind of wants to believe him, but she kind of doesn't really think that he changed. But she's like, okay, well, I guess that's a big step. Then Jesse perks his lips up, kind of waiting for a kiss, but she just stays there. He literally had to pull her in. That was so awkward and embarrassing. I kind of felt bad for him. So then we see Janet. Her messy friends, including that Simon guy, is there and telling her all about the things that happened at Kristen's event. He tells her that Zach and Kristen both cried for not being invited. Janet says that Kristen is always wanting to be the victim all the time, that she cries for everything, and then she just talks bad about Kristen. But then as far as Zach, Janet goes ahead and calls him. Zach said, as soon as they get on the phone, Zach says to her, "I understand that you didn't invite Kristen and Luke, but me, what did I do?" Zach says, "I also don't appreciate your pink-booted friend recording me and Brittany talking." Janet says, "Well, he was just trying to fill me in on the stuff that was happening because I didn't want you to be upset." And Zach says, he was very upset, you guys, like very. So he says, "How was that not your intention? You literally excluded me." So Janet got feisty too. She said, "You sound very aggressive right now for someone who wants to get an invite from me." So this was a heated exchange. Janet was making a bunch of faces as she was talking to him, to her little friends as they were listening to it all. She then tells him that she had to go because her phone was on 1%, so they just hang up. But I'm actually kind of glad that Zach stood up for himself, but that was a lot. So then everyone starts to pack up for this trip. Kristen is pretty upset that they are trying to ice her out. She understands that she has issues with Michelle and Jesse, but it's almost as if Janet jumped into that train and is using that as an excuse to not like her and not include her into all of this. She... Also, this stuff of like, oh, she didn't invite me, so I'm not inviting her, and then she thinks that it's very immature and it's crazy. So everyone gets together. They drive up to Big Bear. It's a no kids trip, but since Nia's children, the twins, are way too young for them to be left behind, they will be coming too, but they're gonna have like a sitter, obviously, so they can still have fun and enjoy the activities. When they are on their way there, Jasmine says that she can't wait to hear about Jesse's trip, but Michelle, my gosh, that woman hates her husband. She says, "Well, we fought yesterday, so it didn't last very long." Apparently, Jesse wanted her to wear lingerie in front of everyone, which is crazy. And he also kept saying, "Oh, we're going to have so much sex tonight, finally." And she kept saying, "No, we're not." Oh my gosh, seeing them is something else. So the house that they are staying in is amazing. It's so big. It was really nice. I honestly loved it. I probably want to go there soon because it just looked really amazing. Somebody brought a suitcase full of alcohol. So then the men and the women split up for now. The girls go on a little boat. So of course Janet brings up the mess. She talks about, well, first she asks Jasmine about Simon, her friend, and Jasmine says, oh yeah, he was kind of standing there like a creep listening to our conversation. Then Janet says that Zach shouldn't have felt like he should have been invited. She says that she's been friendly to him, but this was a much more intimate trip. And Jasmine says, yeah, but he kind of thought that y'all were in a good place, and he found out through Jax. I think Jasmine was being really good at kind of taking Zach's, not taking his side necessarily, but kind of sticking up for him. And it got to the point where Janet snapped at Jasmine. She says, are you going to let me finish? Oh my gosh. The guys, in the meantime, are setting up some beach chairs and they're sitting by a river or lake. Jesse was getting on the water. He looked like he was high on something. And then Jax tells the other two men that he feels some type of way about these rumors of Michelle being out there and Jesse not knowing about them. So he's trying to figure out if he should tell Jesse so that he can know. Going back to LA real quick, Luke and Kristen have an appointment with a couples counselor because Danny had recommended some premarital counseling. So the counselor comes in and he begins to ask a bunch of questions. They're still trying to figure out where they will live in the future. Another thing that the therapist or counselor brings up that they have not really talked about has been finances. Because if you're trying to have kids together, you gotta know about finances. That's something they have not talked about. Kristen says that it's like an ick thing. It gives her the ick. They are also not living super close to their extended families. I mean, she says that her entire family lives in Michigan and his lives in Colorado. So that leads to the topic of having a support system. And before you know it, they start talking about the support system that they should have here, but that they don't really have. So they talk about this group of friends. And they pretty much say that they have no support from most of them. So there are a lot of things to consider going forward if they are going to have a child. And I think that it was really good. I'm all for these premarital counselors because even though you might not have problems now, it's good to kind of make a good framework so that you won't have these problems in the future when they, want to pop up. Okay, going back to the trip, the girls meet the guys. They get off the boat. Also, Jesse was doing a little too much, trying to fight with Danny, kind of like pulling his towel away from him, wanting to punch him. It was kind of weird. Also, Nia made the couples play a little and do a little bit of the self-defense moves that she taught them. Jesse and Michelle started to play, but they took it a little too far. He hurt her nose. Maybe her nose job makes her hurt more sensitive. I don't know, but that didn't last very long. Okay, so then Brittany gets some video of her little son who's in swimming class and he's crying a lot. So she's sad, but then Jax gets angry and he says to her, turn it off. I don't want to hear a child cry 1,000 times, Brittany. He was really angry. And mind you, this is in front of everyone. And I do think Brittany gets embarrassed of him getting pissed with her in front of others. I think two things can be true at the same time. I think Brittany maybe does do things that are annoying and she needs to stop doing, but Jax blowing up on her in front of everyone, that's bad. So they need to figure out something. Then they're on their way back to the house. Brittany was very sick in the car. They had to pull a few times over for her to throw up. Now, mind you, this was the girls and the guys were in a separate vehicles. She says that she cannot tell Jax about this because if he finds out, he's going to automatically assume that she was drunk. On the way back for the guys, Danny wants to make sure that everything's okay with Jesse because remember I said Jesse kept trying to poke him to fight? Now, Jesse says that Danny's being dramatic, but I don't think he is because listen, if we're not mutually playing around, don't be freaking hitting me and touching me and baiting me. And Jesse has some major issues and problems because he gives this horrible apology. Danny says that's not a good apology and Jesse says, I already apologized to you, shut the F up. Oh my gosh, this guy needs to be dealt with. So everyone gets back home, they change to comfy clothes, and then Jax pulls Michelle to the side it was time for them to have a little chat. So Jax tells her that he gotta get this thing off his chest because he's been holding it in for too long. Jax is just as messy as anyone else. So he completely throws Kristen under the bus and says that she told him that Michelle told her that Michelle was talking to the guys, some celebrities, some directors, whatever they are. Not only was she talking and meeting up with them, but she was also sending them sexy pictures of herself. But wait, Michelle says, yeah, that is true. I have texted people. Wow. I was not expecting Michelle to completely admit it and be 100% honest. She says that she absolutely has been texting other men and meeting up with them. And that was the end of the episode. I'm very surprised by Michelle, but I'm kind of, I don't know if this is a good thing, but I give her credit for being honest. But this kind of, this is the in next episode. I think this is going to start to make a little bit more sense. But just me thinking from what we've seen, if Michelle's going around, not only is she texting people, but she's telling people that she's texting people, that means that their marriage was like really, really, really almost over. So were they trying to put up a front when the season began? I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. But anyway, you guys, that was the end of the episode. Let me know a few things. Number one, what do you think about Jax and Brittany having these fights in front of everybody? Number two, what do you think about Michelle and her texting these guys? Are you surprised? Are you surprised that she was honest? What are your overall thoughts? Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on next time. You have a great one. Bye.